The world of football is full of darkness and secrets. Once you uncover them, you'll never see the game the same way again. But today, I'm going to pull back the curtain on some crazy football conspiracies that will completely blow your mind. And trust me, some of this stuff is utterly wild. Honestly, I'm only doing this because I have absolutely no better content ideas at the moment. Either way, you're in for a banger, don't worry. But before we begin, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel grow. So let's start. First up, one of the most famous conspiracy theories, the mind-blowing transfer of Bebe to Manchester United. Seriously, this story is going to change the way you look at football. I promise, I'm not even kidding. So here's what happened. Back in 2010, when Cristiano Ronaldo was making his big move to Real Madrid, news broke that Man United had signed a player nobody had ever heard of, a Portuguese kid named Bebe. This guy was playing in a third division team in Portugal. Zero hype, zero reputation. And what did Man United pay for him? 8.8 million euros. Even weirder, the Man U manager at the time, Sir Alex Ferguson, famously used to scout every player personally. He said he had never even watched Bebe play. He actually admitted, "I never saw him in action." How on earth do you pay that much money for a player you've never seen? That's exactly where the conspiracies kick in, folks. Now, the actual conspiracy starts from here. Right before the 2010 World Cup started, something strange went down with another Man United player, Nani. Portugal announced he was being sent home from the squad with a supposed shoulder injury. The weird part? That injury showed up on the exact same day Portugal's team was doing a drug test. If that doesn't sound like a suspicious coincidence, what does?
And here's the theory some people believe. Nani was actually taking performance-enhancing drugs, and Sir Alex Ferguson found out. He called up Portugal's manager, Carlos Queiroz, and basically said, "Mate, Nani is on something. If he gets caught in a drug test, it's going to be a scandal for both Portugal and Man United. Do us a favor and just drop him from the squad." So, in a big meeting, the team complied, and Nani was sent home. Queiroz ended up looking like the bad guy, and ultimately lost his job. But here's the kicker. After all that, Manchester United suddenly agreed to that insane Bebe transfer. The money, especially the lion's share of the 8.8 million euros, didn't go to some rich club. It went to Jorge Mendes, who was Bebe's agent, and also happened to be Queiroz's agent. Rumors even say a chunk of cash found its way to Queiroz himself. It's basically looking like a thank you payment for covering things up, so nobody digs deeper into Nani's injury. Imagine that. One player quietly disappears from the squad, and then, out of nowhere, another unknown player gets a huge payday. If even a bit of this is true, it implies a lot more players might be injured just to cover doping cases. All right, next up, a completely different kind of conspiracy. This one's about Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard and a missed penalty. Back in 2011, Liverpool were having an absolute nightmare of a season. The manager was Roy Hodgson, and by the last game of his tenure, Liverpool were perilously close to relegation. It was the final match, and Liverpool actually found themselves needing a miracle. They earned a penalty kick late in the game, with survival on the line. Steven Gerrard, normally Mr. Reliable from the spot, stepped up to take it. Here's where things get really strange. Gerrard even performed his usual ritual of tapping the captain's armband before the kick. He looked over at Hodgson on the sidelines. Hodgson was standing there, like a man defeated. Then, Gerrard took the shot and absolutely blasted it over the bar. Everyone fell silent. Did that really just happen? Almost immediately, a conspiracy took hold among Liverpool fans. Some believed Gerrard missed on purpose to get Roy Hodgson fired. According to the tale, Gerrard, the ultimate Liverpool man, sacrificed that penalty so the team would lose and Hodgson would be sacked. But let's be honest, fans love to tell this story. To them, Gerrard's miss was like a heroic sacrifice. It's one of those wild theories Liverpool supporters swear by, even if, to the rest of us, it sounds a bit far-fetched, in my humble opinion. But forget about all that. The next one is crazy too.
This one is utterly BS, I am telling you from the start, but it's so funny I had to include it. Barcelona, Lionel Messi, and the Syrian rebels? So here's the deal. In an El Clasico match between Barcelona and Real Madrid, Barcelona scored an amazing goal. Messi dribbled past half the team and delivered a perfect through ball to Pedro, who slid it in for the goal. It was a spectacular play. But then some people lost it on the internet. They took the ball's path and plotted it on a map of Syria. And you know what they claimed? That the goal formed a secret route in Syria. Yep. The conspiracy theory was that Barcelona was sending a coded message to Syrian rebels through this goal, basically saying, use this path to smuggle weapons. It got so crazy that people on Syrian TV were actually debating it. They were like, see, Barcelona is secretly helping rebels by giving them coordinates hidden in the goal. Apparently, some analysts even took it to court. It sounds completely insane. People out there took it seriously. So next time you see a goal, maybe make sure it's not smuggling AK-47s or something, all right? Let's shift gears and talk about some doping rumors that have been floating around. First on the list, Russia at the 2018 World Cup. Remember that World Cup? Russia was the host nation, and not many people expected them to do much. But in 2018, Russia played absolutely out of their minds. Those players were sprinting around like Olympic athletes, even after 90 minutes. They stunned Spain on penalties in the round of 16, and then even gave Croatia a scare in the quarterfinals, only losing in extra time. Their shots were insanely powerful too. It all looked so different from what we thought they were capable of. After the tournament, the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, asked Russia for their drug test reports from the World Cup. Russia did send something, but insiders say the reports were a mess. Like someone messed up the paperwork and methods. A special committee looked into it and basically said, yep, something's definitely off. Soon after, Russia ended up banned from major tournaments because of doping violations, which is one reason they didn't play in the next World Cup. So, did Russia take performance enhancers in 2018? No one has public proof, but the suspicion was huge. If even a bit of that is true, it could explain why they played like superhumans. Crazy stuff to think about. Now, another doping-related rumor, and this one's about Liverpool again. Back in 2020, a story broke that Liverpool's medical staff had a curious habit. They were prescribing asthma inhalers to a massive number of players. We're talking about a drug called salbutamol. Please, people, these are all conspiracies, so cut me some slack on the pharmaceutical analysis. Now, coming to salbutamol, which is completely legitimate for asthma patients, but if you're a healthy athlete and you take a lot of it, it can temporarily boost your breathing and stamina. And here's the eyebrow raiser. Reports said that out of Liverpool's 35-man squad for the 2020-21 season, 22 were on this inhaler. Naturally, people started speculating. Was Liverpool consciously doing this? The players were performing like beasts, winning everything, and fans wondered if the inhalers were part of the secret. To be clear, there's no proof of wrongdoing. Salbutamol isn't banned if prescribed, but the coincidence was too big for fans to ignore. Some accused Liverpool of using the inhalers like steroids in disguise. It's another crazy rumor that floated around. And just when you thought it couldn't get more out there, we have a similar tale with Bayern Munich. Remember in 2020 when football shut down for a few months? When the season restarted, Bayern had completely transformed. The players were freakishly fit. Seriously, if you compare pictures from before lockdown to when games resumed, they went from good to incredible in just a few months. Some fitness experts were stunned, saying, no matter how hard you train, you can't body swap like that. So the conspiracy spun up that maybe Bayern had quietly ramped up something, maybe allowed players to use performance enhancers more freely during lockdown, so they'd come back as superhumans. Bayern steamrolled through the Bundesliga and won everything in sight after that break. No evidence ever came out, but fans still joke that Bayern might have found some secret sauce in quarantine. Okay, switching gears from doping to curses and legends. Let's talk about the infamous Bela Gutmann curse. This one dates back to the early 1960s. Bela Gutmann was the coach of Benfica, a top Portuguese club. Under him, Benfica won the European Cup in 1961 and 1962, 2 years running. After that second win, Gutmann went to the club and asked for a pay rise and a bonus. Fair request after back-to-back titles, right? Benfica said no. Furious, Gutmann quit and reportedly proclaimed a curse. Not in 100 years will Benfica win another European Cup again. And guess what? Since 1962, Benfica has been to the European final 7 times and lost every single time. It's absolutely insane.
The curse became such a thing that even decades later, Benfica presidents and players literally went to Gutmann's grave to beg for mercy. They pleaded for him to lift the curse, but nothing worked. Is it really a supernatural curse? Probably not, but it's one of those spooky sports legends that people love. The idea that a single hex could mess up a club's destiny is wild, but hey, 7 finals and no wins? That sure keeps the story alive.
Now, one more brain-bending theory to wrap this up, and this one blends old-school superstition with a modern twist. Aaron Ramsey is a Welsh footballer who, in the 2010s, scored a few big goals for Arsenal and Wales. And what do you know, whenever he scored, some big-name celebrity seemed to die shortly after. I'm talking like major headlines. Osama bin Laden, Steve Jobs, Muammar Gaddafi, Whitney Houston, Robin Williams, and many others. It was so bizarre that people made a list of every famous person who died right after Ramsey scored a goal. When I was in school, we even joked, watch out, Ramsey scored, someone's famous, gonna kick the bucket. Obviously, it's a horrible coincidence and not actually his fault, but it was enough of a pattern for people on the internet to have a field day. Ramsey himself got pretty angry about it. He said it was creepy and he hated the jokes. It goes to show how far the mind can wander when people see a string of coincidences. It's another example of a curse that was more viral meme than reality. But hey, it fits right in with our theme of crazy football mysteries. So there you have it, a whole bunch of wild football theories, from shady transfers and doping cover-ups to curses and even secret messages. If even one of these turned out to be true, then nothing in the football world would ever be the same again. Now, let's be real for a second. I'm not claiming any of this is fact. I'm just some guy at home with way too much free time throwing around crazy ideas. Some of these might sound plausible on a weird level, others are complete nonsense, but they're all fun to think about. If you enjoyed this mind trip through football conspiracies, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this video with your mates. Let me know in the comments which theory you think is totally nuts, or maybe which one you secretly hope is true. If you know any other insane, we'll cover it in a future video. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you in the next video.